They pace in sleek chivalric certainty. So then this first paragraph, it is shown, it symbolizes that Aunt Jennifer is actually knitting. She's knitting, she's making a big cloth, she's knitting that cloth and she's knitting tigers into it. So so as the poem's title says, that Aunt Jennifer's tiger. So these tigers are hers, it's her imagination. It's her imagination which is she is knitting on a cloth, which she is knitting around to feel a sort of sense of freedom. So what we do, like whenever we art, we do certain sort of hobby or certain sort of art when we do. If we go to the galleries, we see in certain sort of art, we see a reflection of the artist. We see the reflection of the artist. We see what the artist tries to sort of convey, or what artist is saying through his art. So in the same manner here, Aunt Jennifer's tiger per se are her tigers, her art. So here tigers also symbolizes two parts. It can be the tigers who show a lot of chivalry, a lot of freedom, a lot of power in themselves. But the tiger also plays in a very negative context where a man can be compared to a tiger, who is the king of the jungle, who is the king and who is powerful, and nobody has the capacity to challenge his authority. So the same ways. So the first paragraph goes around this bright topaz denizens, a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. They pace in sleek chivalric certainty. So it is a description how a tiger denizen here is wherever they inhabit, like the forest or wherever the tigers stay. It doesn't refer to per se just tiger, but also the inhabits this place or wherever anybody is staying. So denizen becomes your home, like a den or something like that. So here the denizens, tigers denizen are the woods, are the jungle. So they are not afraid of man. They are not afraid of man. They walk in the same chivalric manner, pure, ferocious, and in a perfect sort of charm attached to a tiger's walk when we say. So that's chivalry, that sort of furious, ferocious attitude the tiger carries. So that's how the tiger she is symbolizing in her knitting, in her entire cloth where she is knitting those tigers. So it calls as Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright topaz denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. They pace in sleek chivalric certainty. So in the first 4 lines are the description of the tiger, wherever she is knitting, and the denizens. The bright topaz green is actually used for tiger's color. It is like the bright orangey yellowish color, which is in a very simplistic manner, I'm telling you. So topaz is a different sort of color that is used, that she is using to knit the tigers. So, and in the later lines it is used that his chivalric walk where he's not afraid. So that's how it goes. So let's take the next stanza. Aunt Jennifer's finger fluttering through her woods, find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. So this paragraph, it tells you a lot about how a marriage circle could be, or how a marriage band has, in a matrimony, has actually sort of, a woman can get suffocated into it, and how it still sits as a very much authoritative boundaries for her, which she has got suppressed and she's getting oppressed, but there is no way that she's able to come out. So the first 2 lines hold the significance in a manner that Aunt Jennifer's finger fluttering through her wool. So she's so scared, she's so traumatized that her hand is actually moving, it's shivering. Because she's so, by reading the poem, you might not know what Aunt Jennifer is going through. But you will have a certain sense of idea that what sort of torture she might have gone through, or what sort of torture she is going through in the marriage, that her hands are shaking. It's shaking in fear, it's shaking a lot of physical and mental pain. So not just she is suppressed mentally, but also very much she's oppressed physically. So your physical pain has outreached and outcrossed all of those bounds, and her hand is shivering. She's so scared, she's weak, she's frail, and she's so scared of the man, of his husband, who she sees as a powerful patriarchal male chauvinist. And she is very scared of that, of her husband. So hand flutters in the wool. And the next, find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. So true, when she is knitting, her hand are shaking, she's shivering, she's scared. So it is so difficult for her to even even to pull that ivory knitting needle across so she can knit. So like usually we see when our grandmothers or mothers knit, so they have those big ivory needles with what they knit. So you need a sort of technique, and you sort of, courage, not per se courage, but sort of a technique or sort of ease to do that. Sort of a piece of your mind to do completely that, because you're knitting something, you're doing a sort of art. So in the same manner, when she is doing, she doesn't have the even energy to pull it forward because she's so scared, she's frail, she's physically weak. You don't know what has happened to her, but she has gone through all of these. And by these lines, you also get the sort of power that the uncle holds, that the man in the house holds, where she's so scared of him that she is not able to get out of that marriage band also. In the next line where it says that the massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. So that marriage band symbolizes sort of a bondage, sort of a boundary for him, where she is stuck and there is no point she can come out. She's so stuck in that marriage band. And that's like a set of gates, set of walls around her life, where she is so suppressed in her own life, and she's so scared, suppressed and oppressed, ostracized by the family she is in or by the husband she has, and that it's a heavy weight. So that heavy weight, which she wants to take it out from a very while. If we go back the background, if we make it an open ending sort of a poem, and we try to sort of critically analyze it and think beyond what might have happened or what would have happened. So when we go forward with the poem, and when it said that it stands as a heavy sort of weight in her hand, heavily, it's a kind of a bondage, sort of a gate, sort of a bar that has kept her inside for years. Where it's very easy when a woman gets into a marriage, a matrimonial tie, and then she has to, in many manner, in earlier days, like maybe a grandparents or our grandmothers, they left their entire life behind them. At that time, they might not have a lot of chances, opportunities to work, to go out and work. So whatever education, if at all they got education, so if at all they had to leave it behind and come here to their new family. So it's like that, where it also symbolizes middle class women's urge to get freedom, urge to go out and do what she wants. But she's into that matrimonial band that has tied her to that space wherever she is, and she's not able to voice herself. She has taken silence as her rescue. It's sort of whatever she is doing right now, the art, the knitting, it's a sort of escape she's taking through to her life from whatever she's going through. So this band sits as heavily in terms of these bars around her, the matrimonial bars. Here the ring refers, here the heavily band, that's a ring that refers to the bars that she is stuck here, stuck in the marriage or whatever is going on, and she's not able to come out of it. So that's how it goes. So let's read the next stanza, the last stanza. When aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. The tigers in the panel that she made will go prancing proud and unafraid. So these last lines are, in a manner, very sad, as well as a very loss of sort of wherever it's in a manner where it shows it's dead, that even if she is dead, but still she has not done with the clutches of her marriage. She is still tied to it. She has not still got that freedom, that sense of freedom that she always wanted. So even after death, her oppression is not over. Even after death, she is not free. She doesn't experience that sort of freedom. She is ringed still with those ordeals. She is still mastered by the husband. So here it also talks about how, see, like an example where it also symbolizes a circus ring where the tiger is. So the tiger is mastered by the whosoever is handling, who is teaching, training the tiger. So it's like that. So that ring becomes her matrimonial ring, where she is inside and she is mastered by the husband. Same as how any animal in the ring, in the circus, is mastered by the trainer. So the same way. So her control, her edges of control are in the hands of the husband. So he is handling her. So she needs to follow her orders, and he is the master. So she is still not done. She is still not away from those marital ties, from those marital ordeals that she is going through, that she is sad of, that she is never able to come out of. So, and the tigers in the panel that she made will go prancing proud and unafraid. So, and the last line, it can be taken in a dual manner. It can be taken like those tigers that she made in a panel can also be taken in a very negative context as well as a positive context. So, in a negative context, it can show a man who has now, who is the master of the world, who is the king, and who is not afraid of anything. He is proud, he is unafraid, he will do whatever he wants. He's free to do whatever he wants. So tiger can be looked at in that manner in her panel, as well as in the last 4 lines it can also be seen as the tiger shows her idea of freedom, her wish, her inner sort of hope for freedom also, where the tigers make her feel liberated a bit in her art that she draws, that she wants to be like those tigers who can go around proud, unafraid, and not scared of anybody. So this is how it goes. This is how she ends the poem, that tigers in the panel that will go prancing proud and unafraid. So they will go to do their life and it's a sense of liberty, a sense of freedom that she wants to experience through her tigers that she is knitting in her panel. So let's once in a flow, let's go to the poem again, and we'll take up the symbols that symbolizes very different aspects of the poem. So let's go through it again. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright topaz denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. They pace in a sleek chivalric certainty. Aunt Jennifer's finger fluttering through her wool, find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. When Aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. The tigers in the panel that she made will go prancing proud and unafraid. So read the poem. Read the poem. The poem is very easy and self-explanatory, but rather it also delves with lot of symbols around the poem. तो अगर इस पूरे पोएम में जैसे हम जब पढ़ रहे हैं इस पोएम को, ये बहुत ही नारीवादी पोएम है, बहुत ही एक पोएम है जो आपको दिखा रहा है अपने ही लाइंस के थ्रू कि किस तरीके से एक औरत को अपने एक शादी में, एक मैरिज में, एक फैमिली टाइम में बांध दिया जाता है। उसके बाद उसकी अपनी कोई लाइफ नहीं रहती, उसकी इंडिविजुअलिटी नहीं रहती है until and unless कि उसकी फैमिली इज अ सपोर्टिव फैमिली और द हस्बैंड इज अ सपोर्टिव हस्बैंड। तो वो एक मैरिटल टाइम में बन के रह जाती है। उसके साथ जो भी अत्याचार हो रहा है या फिर उसका पति उसका जैसे भी मतलब उसके साथ व्यवहार कर रहा है, उसको कोई चैलेंज नहीं कर पाता, उसकी अथॉरिटी को कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं कर पाता, क्योंकि अब she is taken as a property into the marriage band, and nobody can challenge the owner of the property or whatever he is doing with the property. So here the woman is also taken as a property, and you know the entire poem goes by the fact that she's trying to get out of it, but probably she's not able to because there is no one else to support her. That is can be a very hopeful approach to the fact that she wants to get out of it, and now her tale is narrated by in these 12 lines, and then in these 12 lines, and then how she is going through all of them, how very rhythmically Andrea and Rich has written the entire poem, and how those tigers, the fear she is going through, the ring uses as a metaphor of the ring which is there in the circus and the ring that is in her hand. It's all a metaphor how it symbolizes the patriarchy, the oppression, the injustice, the gender injustice especially. So that injustice in the family or in the society has largely affected many people around you, and largely affected the women, and it has been a source of oppression for them. So the entire poem is written in that manner where marriage can be devastating for a person, for a woman, if there is continuous sort of oppression to her. She is going through a lot of atrocities, and there is no way she is able to get out of it. And the husband becomes the master of that property, master of that ring, master of that animal that he has got or he has bought. So the entire poem gives you the idea of a pain, a very instilled pain dreaded within her in her depth of her heart, that she is going through, but she is not able to come out of it in any manner. So what happens that in such sort of atmosphere, in such sort of marriage tie, how is the woman supposed to be, or how is the man supposed to be, where he is terrorizing the woman, he is terrorizing his own wife, and there is no way she is able to get out. It also shows the loss of individuality. So when you write your answers, remember there is a lot of symbolisms of this poem, where she faces a loss of individuality, she faces loss of a certain sort of self-confidence, certain self-respect, where even if she had that sort of self-respect given to her by the family, she would have rose above from her own status, and she would have fought that sort of oppression that she is going through. But she has been tortured and she has been ostracized in such a manner that there is no way she is able to get out of it. She is so scared that her hands are fluttering through the wool. You'd never know how badly she has been tortured, how badly, how mentally or physically she has been tortured. So see, this torture can be in many ways. It can be sexual, it can be physical, beating up, so it can be anything. So this poem also narrates the pain of a woman who is tied in that marriage band, who goes through this daily and in around us. So when many a times we sort of ignore the fact that there is patriarchy, there is purush, देर इज पितृसत्ता की हमारे समाज में पितृसत्ता है और हम उसको बहुत बार इग्नोर कर देते हैं हमारे फैमिलीज में है where there is rule of a man and women doesn't have voice or she is not given equal sort of status or equal sort of respect in the family and we go ahead with that with that and we close our eyes to the fact that these things we don't really take any action of and if at all we do not, these comes out as a source of suppression, a source of oppressing the other gender. So this and the patriarchy affects both man and a woman. And as soon as there are studies which we say that the patriarchy, which is our society right now going through, has led to in certain level that a woman can be oppressed in every manner, irrespective of her religion, irrespective of her caste, irrespective of her color. So she's just, as her gender says that she is a woman, she can be harassed or ostracized or oppressed in any sort of manner by anyone. Be it now, see, now she's getting oppressed in her own home. So if she is getting the same oppression in her home, then how will she ever be able to get out of the family and trust anybody outside in the world because the oppression has happened in the home. So you never know what sort of oppression has been going through with Aunt Jennifer. And Aunt Jennifer's tiger comes out as when she's knitting it comes out as a form of escape, a form of illusionistic world that she is knitting herself in. She want to go through that sort of a world completely. So the denizens, the panel that she knits, the woods that she makes, there is a prancing tigers that she goes through. It's also a form of liberated freedom that she wants to experience. It's also a form of how her husband has been like a tiger and she's never been able to experience that sort of freedom or liberation in the family. So when you go through the entire poem, yeah, keep in mind it's a very simple rhymed poem, so it's not very difficult to see how the rhyming scheme is. Like if I start, Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across the screen, bright topaz denizens of the world of green. So see, screen and green, so it becomes AA. So the rhyming scheme is very easy, so it's AA. Then they do not fear the men beneath the tree. They pace in certain chivalric certainty. So remember the rhyming scheme. So it's AA, then BB, then CC. So the entire poem goes by in that sort of rhyming scheme. Okay, so when you answer the questions of this poem, remember it's a very complex poem yet very easy poem to answer. So you have to just need to know what does it symbolizes or what the major theme of the poem is. So it's critical of the male world as I see. So get the points and go through them and keep these in mind that it shows patriarchy, it shows the effects of patriarchy on a marital bond. It is a critical, it's a very much symbolizes male chauvinism in the entire poem where she's knitting the tigers, the tiger also symbols are all the symbols of a male chauvinistic attitude, a chivalristic male who walks around in a very proud manner and nobody is challenging his authority. It also, it's a very, very critical about the male world. The inner meaning of the poem is actually being critical about the male world. So it's a feminist, remember to begin with, it's a feminist poem. It is critical about the male world. It talks about male chauvinism. It talks about oppression of women in the marriage. It talks about how a woman goes through injustice in the marriage, in the society, through the ordeals, through the different sort of responsibilities, expectations where she's losing her individuality or the different sort of oppressive methods used on her to keep her in that marriage band so that she doesn't have any voice of her own. So it's also a poem that talks about the loss of voice. here the woman, Aunt Jennifer, has no voice completely. She's not able to come out of her arena and say what the oppression she's going through, so forth. She has taken that panel, to knit in that panel, so forth. That is her escape. That is her art. She's knitting, and it's her tigers, her sense of liberating tiger that she is going through. So remember the point that, see, the tiger, firstly the tiger symbolizes both terror, oppression, and the freedom of spirit. So it can be taken in the negative as well as in a positive context. So when it's taken in negative context, also symbolizes the man who can terrorize, who can oppress other being who is lower to his strength. That's how we see the tiger's strength as well, because he's the king of the jungle. So everybody is a little weaker than the tiger. What the popular idea goes on, and so forth. The tiger can be also seen as the male power, ferocious, chivalric, terrorizing, oppressive. It can also be taken in a very positive manner through Aunt Jennifer's context, where she's knitting it to experience a sense of freedom, a freedom of spirit, a sense of freedom, sense of liberation, what we say. And also feel a sense of liberation, a sense of freedom through those tigers. So this is in your first lines itself. Second, fluttering wool. So remember, there will be questions, why Aunt Jennifer's hand, it was used as a fluttering wool, why her hand was shaking. It was shaking through the fear of her husband. It was shaking because she has gone through a mental and a physical trauma. You don't know what exactly she has gone through, but it's very clear that she's very scared of the husband. She's terrorized by the husband, and she has gone through so much trauma that she's not even able to knit those wool. She's so physically weak. So if the woman is that physically weak and she's so terrorized, then you can imagine what sort of physical trauma she might have gone through, what sort of mental trauma she has been going through all while. That she needs something to fill herself, to fill her life, and to get a little form of escape, a hope from that terrorizing marriage, terrorizing oppressive marriage that she is being. So here, the fluttering wool sort of symbolizes and shows the extensive oppression of women and terrorized state of mind. That she's so terrorized, she's so scared of her husband, and under this marriage bond that she is in, that she cannot get out of it, that she is so very oppressed, and there is no way that she can get out. And there is so forth. She has taken art, she has taken that panel and those knitting, those ivory needles, so that she can knit those tigers in a form to show a sort of liberation or a freedom. So remember the fact that the fluttering wool is used for extensive oppression of women and terrorized state of mind, that she's scared. Terrorizing is being scared. Third, in the same paragraph, in the second paragraph, there is the use of uncle's wedding band. So uncle's, what we refer to as, is Aunt Jennifer's husband. So the uncle's wedding band is also symbolizes as a bondage, as a bar that has been created around her because she is in a marriage, she is in a matrimony, she is in a matrimonial bond. So it can be seen as suppression of women in a matrimony, symbolizes male authority. So that band comes out as a form of bondage for her, a form of bars around her, where she's stuck. She's stuck with that marriage band that the uncle has given him. Uncle has given her, and she's stuck. She has no way she can get out of it. It's like a marriage ring that since it's there, so you have to go through with the marriage. You have to go through with all sort of oppression that is done in that matrimonial bond. So here you can sense the idea that how badly she has been treated in her marriage, how badly she's being treated in her marriage that she's so scared that she's not able to get out of this marriage span. She's not able to get out of that ties, and she's so scared. And where it symbolizes that uncle's wedding band is a form of a male authority. It is the authority that nobody is able to challenge. It's the authority that she is not able to challenge. It's the authority that she's so scared of, and she has been a part of this authority from way back, where she has been oppressed because of that authority. So it symbolizes the male authority over women in the marriage. Okay, so next, in the last paragraph, we see it is written ringed with ordeals. It symbolizes a struggle of freedom, and also, as per the line goes, see how the line goes is, she's still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. So here the ordeals is, even when she's dead, she doesn't feel liberated. Even when she's dead, she is not away. She's not away from that marriage band. She's not away from that entire, the bars of marriage, the band, the matrimonial band, that marriage tie that is there. She's still not away from it. Even she's even dead, she's terrified. Her hands lie there in a lot of fear, and it rings, and she's ringed by uncle. The ring here symbolizes the marriage, and how that ring becomes a rope to pull her back from her individuality to the back to the marriage concern, back to the marriage ideal that she should be follow, that she should be, or even, when it said that she still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. So here also goes around that same the example that I gave you of the circus, where it also symbolizes a circus ring, where the tiger is mastered on any animal, is mastered by the trainer, and he has to follow the trainer's order. In the same manner, she is also following the orders of the husband, where she is also going through this struggle for the freedom of spirit. There is a struggle that she is also going through even after she is dead. She is not able to still sense the freedom, and there is a lot of injustice. You don't know. You are assuming the fact that there were a lot of racial, religious, gendered injustice going around her, and she is going through a lot of oppression. So there is definitely, when we read the poem, there is definitely a gender bias, a gender injustice which is there, and you never know what attached to it is also there. There could be racial, there could be religious, there could be any sort of other manner, there could be caste, there could be color. So there could be any manner, or in terms of discrimination that she is going through, or oppression she is going through because of that sort of discrimination. So these are the various things that you have to keep in mind. Even the last four lines, where we say, the tigers in the panel that she made will go prancing, proud and unafraid. So even these four lines are very important, where it also, that negative and the positive connotation, where the tiger, she is still stuck, the woman is still stuck in that marriage band, and the man still goes around free, unafraid and proud, or whatever the man is doing. As well as in the positive context, where her tigers are prancing around, they are proud, they are unafraid, they're not afraid, they're not terrorized by anybody, they're not afraid of the man itself. So, and she wants to experience the same sort of liberated spirit, that she is not in the ties of anybody, that she is not tortured or oppressed by anyone around. So it's also a sense of hope, hope she is having for her life, even after she is dead, where she is not away from the ties. Remember, the questions that will be asked in the chapter would be, because it carries a lot of symbols. Remember, when you answer the questions, definitely mention the name of the poem and the name of the poet. Adrienne Rich, if you just go through a background check of her, she is one of the most prominent contemporary feminist writers, poetess, that has gained a lot of importance in the women's movement, the women's suffrage movement. So go through her if you can read about her. So if there is a long answer, definitely mention about Adrienne Rich a little bit. do mention, at least if you will not, if you can't write the background of her a little, you can definitely write her name, definitely write her name and the chapter's name, and then go forward how, see, by name itself, the Aunt Jennifer's tiger, how that is symbolized. It can be asked, justify the title. So give the examples of how she builds the tigers entire in the panel, and how the tigers are liberated, free animals, king of the jungle, to show power. This is one sort of context we place tigers in, and there is this other sort of context where we place tigers in a liberated manner. We'll talk about them if you're told to justify a tiger or Jennifer's tiger as a title. Also talk about, begin with the fact that it is a feminist poem. It is very critical of the male world. It shows the patriarchy. It shows patriarchy, it shows male chauvinism. These words you need to remember. Remember these words. Remember these words when you write the poem, when you answer any sort of question about the poem, especially if it's a long question. If it's a short question, you probably might miss something or actually mention all of these and then answer the question, because it will be in a format that there will be 4 lines, a stanza of the poem could be given, and related to that stanza there will be questions attached to it, and then you will have to answer the question. So it can be in that manner. Also it can come in a long answer where symbolisms can be used, where whatever, like how a tiger can be symbolized, or fluttering bulls. So you have to mention, you have to give the gist of the poem, but also mention the symbolism of the poem, the theme of the poem, which is a sad, which shows a man's world, shows male chauvinism, shows how women is terrorized. Okay, so you can do that. So there will be questions like these, so answer in that manner. Remember the fact that the ring, the audio of the ring can be used, it's a metaphor, can be used in two different manner. The ring in the circus, the ring in her hand. The weight of a wedding band, it also a ring. It can also be seen as a ring, where actually it is a ring. So the massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand, and it's so heavy that she can't take it off and show it because she is tied in the marital bond. So talk about how a woman goes through oppression in the marriage if the husband is that sort of terrorizing male chauvinist, where she has been oppressed from years and she's so scared, she's mentally, physically tortured in every manner that she can't get out of it, of that marriage band. So talk about all of these, the tiger, the theme of the poem, which is it's critical of the male world. It's a feminist poem, talks about male chauvinism. Remember the theme, remember the tone of the poem, remember how there are certain sort of sympathies that we are attached to Aunt Jennifer, while we see that she has gone through a lot, she's going through a lot, she's terrible, she's terrified, and she wants to get out of it, but she's not, and how the picture of her husband is shown to us as this powerful, male, fearless, male chauvinist person, ferocious, and he is torturing his wife with Aunt Jennifer. So it can be a poem for many of the young women today, many of the women who are tied in the marriage and who goes through such sort of a discrimination, such sort of oppression. So keep in mind that, and then answer the questions. Read the poem. It's a very simple poem. Read the poem and keep these points in your mind when you answer it. It's an easy poem. It's an approachable poem, and it's a very self-explanatory poem also. Just read in a very sort of free, in a manner that you're able to understand each and every line, and read it in very easy that you understand each and every line in the symbolism of each and every line, because every line carries sort of symbolism. So it can be easy at a point, and if you don't understand the symbolism, it can be really complicated at a point. So yes, read the poem, keep in mind all of these points, and that's how you will attempt the answers as well. So the answers become very easy when you know the symbolism. Okay? Thank you. Cut.